영어 동화 세상 리틀팍스.
The Wllow Creek Twins, Raising Chicks. Chapter 1. Which one are you? It was Saturday, and Katie Donovan sat on the kitchen floor petting Magoo, the family dog. Her twin sister Joy was at the big round table waiting for a snack. Grandpa, the best cook in the family, had just baked brownies. Said Katie.
I love brownies.
Just then, Mom looked toward a county road and said, "The mail truck is coming, girls. It's turning the corner." Katie jumped up.
Let's go, Magoo.
She and the hound raced through the house and out the front door. Magoo followed Katie all the way down the driveway. Katie hardly ever got any mail, except birthday cards, and those were sent to Katie and Joy Donovan. But both girls still liked to collect the mail when it came. The mail truck rumbled to a stop at 10 Blackberry Road. The mailman leaned out of the window.
Hello, Magoo,
He called and gave the mail to Katie.
Hello, Jeff.
Said Katie. Jeff looked at her closely.
Which twin are you?
He asked. Katie sighed.
I'm Katie.
I always get you two mixed up.
Said Jeff. Then he drove off down the road.
We're totally different.
Mumbled Katie as the mail truck disappeared in a cloud of dust. Katie liked having a sister who was her identical twin, but she hated it when people mixed them up, which happened all the time.
You know which one I am, don't you, Magoo?
Whispered Katie. Magoo sniffed her hand.
That's right. Joy and I smell different, don't we?
The house smelled like brownies.
Mail delivery!
Katie called out. She read the name on the first envelope.
For John Donovan from Sunshine Seed Company.
Great!
Said Grandpa.
My corn seeds!
Grandpa would be planting the garden soon.
Here's a letter for Deborah Donovan,
said Katie, flipping through the mail. Mom was looking at a book about Missouri birds. Thanks, honey, she said.
And for Steve A. Donovan, the new green zine,
exclaimed Katie. This was a magazine all about recycling. Dad owned the Wllow Creek Recycling Center.
The rest is junk mail,
said Katie.
Nothing for us today, Joy. Unless you want a chicken catalog. It's from a place called the Cackle Farm,
she said with a grin.
Okay,
said Joy as Katie grabbed a brownie from the table.
Okay,
echoed Katie in surprise.
Okay, I'll look at the catalog,
repeated Joy.
Really?
Katie handed it to her.
You're interested in chickens?
Yep.
Joy flipped through the catalog.
Hey, I didn't know chickens came in all these colors,
she said.
Look at this one, Katie.
I don't like chickens,
Katie said.
You like them.
You're no fun sometimes,
Joy complained. Katie ignored her sister. Instead, she followed Dad, who was carrying a bucket out to the compost bin.
Dad,
she asked slowly,
how can you tell I'm Katie and not Joy?
Oh, that's easy. Well...
Then Dad grinned.
I know. You're freckles. You have 14 freckles on your nose. Joy has 12.
Oh, Dad!
Katie moaned.
You don't believe me? Go count them.
Katie rolled her eyes and walked back inside. Her father was teasing her. He didn't understand that sometimes it was hard to be a twin. Joy was still looking at the catalog.
We can buy these chickens when they are tiny chicks and raise them.
Then what would we do? Make fried chicken? Ha!
Joked Katie.
We wouldn't eat them,
Joy said.
We'd eat their eggs.
What's wrong with the eggs from Tucker's grocery?
Asked Katie. Joy made a face.
Chickens are fun, Katie. Not like you right now.
Katie looked away. She knew she was being a little mean to her sister, but for some reason she couldn't help it today. The Wllow Creek Twins, Raising Chicks. Chapter 2, Chicken Plans. It was Sunday morning, and Grandpa was making everyone pancakes. Joy was still in her pajamas and still talking about chickens.
This one has a blue tail.
Said Joy.
And this one has feathers on its feet.
Mom smiled. They look like house slippers. Grandpa gave Joy a plate of pancakes and looked over her shoulder at the catalog.
See that one with the black and white stripes?
He said.
We had a hen like that when I was a boy. Sometimes she slept in my lap, just like a cat.
Dad smiled.
So, Joy,
He said.
do you think we should get some chickens?
Joy's eyes opened wide and a big smile spread across her face.
Oh, Dad, could we? Could we buy some little chicks?
They won't be little for long, warned Mom. They'll become big chickens. Would you take care of them? Would you feed them and give them water?
Yes, I promise.
Said Joy.
And I'd gather the eggs, too.
I could make some delicious omelets with those fresh eggs.
Said Grandpa.
Where's Katie?
Asked Joy, jumping up from the table. She ran to the stairway and called,
Come downstairs, Katie.
Upstairs, Katie didn't hear her sister. She was busy staring at herself in the bathroom mirror. Jellybean, the cat, was sitting in the doorway, licking her gray fur.
Here we go.
Katie whispered as she picked up the scissors. Jellybean stopped licking and watched Katie with round yellow eyes. Downstairs, Dad was talking.
It's good for the planet when we raise our own food.
He said.
I hope I can remember how to take care of baby chickens.
Said Grandpa.
You have to teach me, Grandpa.
Replied Joy as she sat back down at the table. She'd given up trying to get Katie's attention. I'll bring home a book on the subject tomorrow, said Mom. She worked part-time at the Wllow Creek Library. Suddenly, everyone looked up at the ceiling. They heard Katie's footsteps in the hallway above. Then, they heard her pounding down the stairs.
Here she comes.
Said Joy.
Good morning, world!
Katie exclaimed as she popped into the kitchen. She twirled on her bare feet.
Notice anything different about me?
Magoo, who had been napping in the corner, opened his eyes. Yes, I noticed that you ran down the steps with scissors, scolded Mom. That's really dangerous. Katie looked down at the scissors in her hand.
Oops,
She said.
sorry.
You've done something to your hair.
Stated Dad.
You've got bangs.
Joy burst out.
Ta-da!
Exclaimed Katie. Joy frowned.
But, Katie,
She said.
now we look different.
That's right.
Katie said happily.
From now on, I'm the one with bangs.
She sat down at the table.
Grandpa, may I have some pancakes, please?
You did a good job, Katie, Mom commented. Joy looked around the table, upset.
But, do we still look like twins?
Sure you do.
Said Dad.
Nope.
Corrected Katie.
We look completely different.
Then Mom spoke up. Joy, tell Katie about the chickens.
Chickens?
Repeated Katie.
Yes.
Said Joy.
We're getting chicks from the Cackle farm.
Katie stared at her sister.
What will we have to do?
Lots.
Joy was smiling again.
You see, they have to live indoors for a while. We have to keep them warm and watch them every minute.
When Katie thought of the cute little chicks, she almost smiled. But then she remembered that she was the Donovan twin who didn't like chickens. Joy noticed Katie's blank expression.
Aren't you excited?
she asked. Katy shrugged and poured syrup on her pancakes.
Last chance for pancakes, folks.
Grandpa announced.
Joy and I have to get this kitchen cleaned up. We've got chicken plans.
The Wllow Creek Twins, Raising Chicks. Chapter 3, Big News.
The next day, Katy and Joy rode their bicycles to Boone Elementary School. They were both excited. Katy couldn't wait for everyone to see her new bangs. And Joy wanted to tell everyone about the chickens.
There's Luke.
Shouted Joy. She waved at a boy in a t-shirt that said, "I dig worms." Luke was Katy and Joy's cousin.
Joy,
Said Katy.
why don't you wait until Mr. Higgins starts the science lesson? Then tell everybody about the chicks. Learning about animals is part of science.
Joy hesitated.
Well, if you think so,
She said.
I guess I could wait until science.
But Katy didn't wait to share her news.
Hey, Luke, I've got bangs. Now nobody will mix me up with Joy.
Oh, that's good, I guess.
Luke replied.
How's your bait business?
Asked Katy. Luke collected earthworms and sold them to fishermen at the gas station.
Excellent.
Said Luke.
On Saturday, I sold 8 cups of worms for $1 each. Wait until summer. I won't be able to keep up with the demand.
Here comes Laura.
Exclaimed Joy. Laura Lehman was in the 3rd grade too.
What's new?
Laura asked.
I've got bangs.
Katy blurted out.
And I've got something exciting to tell everyone.
Joy whispered to Laura.
But I can't say it yet.
Ms. Olson, the school principal, stood outside the front door.
Good morning, twins.
She said.
Good morning, Luke. Laura.
Good morning, Ms. Olson.
Said Katy.
From now on, remember, Katy is the one with bangs.
Okay, that's nice to know.
Replied Ms. Olson. Mr. Higgins waited by the door to the 3rd grade classroom.
Hello, Luke. Hello, Laura.
He said.
Hello, twins.
Katy here.
Stated Katy.
I'm the one with bangs.
She thought,
It's going to be a great day.
the first activity of the day was a math worksheet. Katy got 3 division problems wrong. Joy solved them all. During spelling time, Katy spelled cheese with a Z instead of an S. Joy spelled every word right. When it was time for art, Katy's clay horse would not stand up. But Joy's clay sheep looked perfect.
What is happening to my great day?
Wondered Katy. She had a feeling that things would get worse. Science was next, and that meant Joy would soon have everyone's attention. First, Luke showed the class a creepy earthworm he dug up. It was 23 centimeters long. Next, Joy raised her hand. Katy jumped out of her seat.
Guess what?
Mr. Higgins and the class looked at Katy.
We're getting baby chickens.
Said Katy. She heard Joy gasp.
That's big news.
Said Mr. Higgins.
How old will they be?
They'll be really little.
Katy said quickly.
1 day old.
Joy answered. Mr. Higgins turned to Joy.
Oh,
He said. Then he looked back at Katy.
how many chicks are you getting?
Maybe 3?
Replied Katy. She looked over at Joy, who narrowed her eyes at Katy.
6.
Joy corrected her.
What do chicks eat?
Asked Mr. Higgins.
Are you getting a rooster?
Asked Luke.
Will they miss their mother?
asked Laura. Katie was sorry that she had opened her big mouth. She had ruined things for Joy. And now she couldn't answer a single question. She looked over at Joy.
Well,
Joy said, taking over.
first, they will have special feed.
She pulled out her chicken catalog, and everyone gathered around Joy's desk.
Here are the kinds of chickens we picked out.
She explained proudly. Katie stayed at her desk, listening in silence.
The Wllow Creek Twins, Raising Chicks. Chapter 4. Are we ready?
Katie knew she had made a big mistake at school. She should have let Joy tell the big news about the chickens.
I need some exciting news of my own,
Thought Katie as she finished setting the table.
something bigger than bangs.
Supper time.
Called Grandpa.
My famous spaghetti and meatballs.
The family sat down at the kitchen table, and Mom started filling plates. Joy shot a look at Katie.
Everyone asked me a million questions about the baby chickens today. And Mr. Higgins asked me to bring some chicks to school in a few weeks.
Katie felt her face turn red.
Luke brought an earthworm to school.
She said quickly.
It was 23 centimeters long.
Oh my! Exclaimed Mom.
I don't like worms.
Said Joy.
They're yucky.
I think worms are cool.
Explained Katie.
Maybe we should all sell worms, too.
Suggested Dad, laughing.
Not me.
Said Joy with a shiver.
I brought home a sturdy cardboard box from the recycling center today.
Said Dad.
It will make a good house for the chicks.
I bought chicken feed and some other stuff at the store today.
Said Grandpa.
Everything is in the spare room.
Katie suddenly jumped up from her chair.
Aha!
She exclaimed.
I've got it!
Everyone stared at her. What? Asked Mom.
I'm going to help Luke sell worms!
Katie dashed out of the kitchen and up the stairs to her room. That child is full of surprises, said Mom, shaking her head. Joy didn't say anything. She was still a little mad at Katie for blurting out the news about the chicks.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Asked Dad.
The chicks should arrive in the mail tomorrow. Let's get to work.
They all headed upstairs to the spare room. The supplies Grandpa had bought were piled on the floor. Dad cleared off a table and set his big cardboard box on top. A chick house is called a brooder, explained Mom. She was sitting on the bed, reading from her library book, How to Raise Chickens. We need to put holes in the sides so air can flow through the box,
I can do that.
replied Dad. Joy picked up some shopping bags and opened them on the bed.
Look at this stuff.
She cried happily.
Here's the chicken feeder. And a water jar.
Here's the heat lamp.
Said Grandpa. The lamp should be about half a meter above the chicks, explained Mom. The babies need to be kept warm. Grandpa clamped the lamp on the box. Joy emptied a bag of wood shavings into the box. As she spread them out, Grandpa filled the feeder and the water jar. He put them in the box, and Mom added a thermometer. Ready? Asked Mom.
Ready.
Cried Joy. Suddenly, something flew through the air and landed right in the brooder.
Oh, Jelly Bean!
Cried Joy. She put her arms around Jelly Bean's belly and lifted her out of the box. Jelly Bean screeched.
Go away!
Scolded Joy.
No cats allowed!
Jelly Bean ran down the hallway to the twins' bedroom. Katie was talking on the telephone.
Okay, Luke.
she said.
Tomorrow night, a flashlight, a bucket, a rag. I'll have everything ready. Thanks, partner.
She hung up the phone.
Big news, Jellybean,
said Katie happily.
I'm in the bait business.
The Wllow Creek Twins, Raising Chicks. Chapter 5, Special Delivery.
Here comes Jeff.
Cried Joy. The mail truck came up the driveway. Joy and Magoo leaped off the front porch.
Special delivery?
Jeff called and held a cardboard box out of the window.
Are they in there?
Asked Joy, jumping up and down with excitement.
Steady now,
Said Jeff. He laid the box carefully in Joy's hands.
I hear them.
She whispered.
They're moving around inside.
She turned and started back toward the house. Magoo sniffed at the bottom of the box as Jeff drove off. Grandpa, Mom, and even Katie waited at the front door.
Follow me, everybody.
Called Joy. She and the chicks went upstairs to the spare room. I turned on the heat lamp, said Mom. She checked the thermometer in the box. Perfect! Nice and warm. The chicks were chirping in their box.
Do you hear them?
Asked Joy.
Yes, Joy. They want to come out and meet you.
Replied Grandpa.
Here are the scissors.
Joy cut the bands around the box and lifted the lid.
Oh!
Squealed Joy when she saw the little balls of fluff inside. Aren't they sweet? Said Mom. Look, Katie. Katie had been standing back in the doorway, but now she stepped forward and peeked in the box.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
counted Katie.
all there.
Let's put them in the box before they get cold.
Suggested Grandpa. One by one, Joy placed the chicks in the box. Mom had her chicken book open. Now, it's important that they eat and drink, she stated. Have they found the water, Joy? Joy picked up a chick and put it next to the water feeder.
Look,
She exclaimed and clapped her hands.
it's drinking.
Just then, Dad stepped into the spare room. As usual, his work clothes were dirty. Katie gave him a big hug anyway.
Everyone's looking at the chicks, Dad,
She said.
but I have work to do in my room.
Well, look at these babies.
Exclaimed Dad with a grin as he looked into the box. The chicks had been drinking water and pecking at their food. But now they were getting quiet. One little chick tipped over on its side and lay completely still.
What's wrong?
Asked Joy, worried. She poked the chick lightly with her finger. Its eyes popped open.
The little one just fell asleep.
Whispered Grandpa.
She's tired.
They watched the chicks fall asleep, one by one. Joy put her finger to her lips.
Shh.
She said. Everyone tiptoed out of the spare room. Joy pointed to a sign she had made for the door.
No cats allowed.
Down the hall, Katie was hard at work. She was taping a piece of red plastic over a flashlight. Luke had told her how to do it. Jellybean was sprawled on Katie's bed, watching every move Katie made.
Jellybean,
Said Katie.
did you know that earthworms in Australia can grow to be 3.5 meters long?
Jellybean blinked while Katie tore off another piece of tape.
And did you know that some earthworms live to be 8 years old?
Jellybean blinked again.
Ha! That's how old I am!
Exclaimed Katy as she smoothed the tape into place.
There!
She closed the curtains and turned off the light switch. Then Katy turned on the flashlight. A spooky red beam flashed around the room.
Great!
She said.
I'm ready for worm hunting!
The Wllow Creek Twins, Raising Chicks. Chapter 6, Hunters.
The sun had set, and tiny bugs darted around the back porch light. Mom put a baseball cap on Katy's head and said, "The air is getting cool." Luke tied a big rag onto Katy's belt loop.
What's that for?
Katy asked.
You'll see,
Said Luke.
Do you have your bucket?
Yep,
Said Katy.
Flashlight?
yep.
Replied Katy.
I'm ready to hunt worms.
Don't go too far from the house, said Mom. And don't be gone long. Katy and Luke stepped off the porch and headed into the darkness.
The grass is all wet.
Said Katy.
That's good.
Explained Luke.
Earthworms like it cool and wet.
My toes don't.
Replied Katy. Her sneakers felt soggy.
Walk softly.
Warned Luke.
If they feel our footsteps, they will slip right back into the ground.
I thought we had to dig for worms.
Said Katy.
That's the hard way.
Replied Luke.
This is the easy way.
They stepped carefully through the grass. There was no sound except the croaking of the toads down by the creek.
Okay, stop here.
Instructed Luke.
Turn on your flashlight.
Katy flashed the red beam back and forth over the grass.
See?
He whispered.
The worms are out.
Luke was right. Everywhere the light shone, Katy could see worms gleaming in the grass.
Ooh, creepy.
She whispered. Luke gave her a look.
Sorry,
Said Katy.
I mean, ooh, cool.
Now watch me.
Ordered Luke. He bent over one of the shining worms and grabbed it. Then he slowly pulled the worm out of its hole.
Got it.
Said Luke.
It's a big one.
He plopped it into his bucket.
Now you try.
Katy stooped down beside Luke and quickly spotted an earthworm. She reached out and grabbed.
Got it.
She said. She held her hand up to show Luke. But her hand was empty.
It got away.
She cried.
And my hand is all slimy.
That's what your rag is for.
Explained Luke.
Dry your hand and try again. This time, grab it closer to the middle.
As Katy wiped her hand on her rag, she spotted another worm. She slowly stretched out her hand and grabbed it around its middle. She pulled.
It won't come out. It's holding on.
She said.
Keep pulling.
Instructed Luke.
The worm will get tired and let go.
Katy pulled some more until the earthworm came sliding out.
Hooray!
She exclaimed.
I got one.
Okay,
Said Luke.
toss it in the bucket.
A little later, Katy and Luke ran through the back door into the kitchen. Everyone was sitting around the table, and Grandpa was serving slices of apple pie.
I've got worms.
Shouted Katy. Not in the house, said Mom.
Oh, right.
Said Katy. She opened the back door and set her bucket on the porch. Now before you have your pie, said Mom, why don't you show Luke our new chicks? Katy sighed.
Aw,
She wanted to talk about her worms.
Come on, Luke,
she said softly. Katie led her cousin out of the kitchen and up the stairs. She opened the door to the spare room and pulled him over to the chick box.
There they are,
She said.
They're cute, but a lot of trouble. You have to feed them and clean up their stinky poop.
Worms are more fun,
Stated Luke.
That's for sure.
Agreed Katie.
Now let's go eat some pie.
The two worm hunters didn't notice another hunter in the hallway. Jellybean had been waiting silently in the dark. She crept toward the spare room. The door had been left open just a crack. Jellybean put one paw on the door and pushed. The chicks chirped inside their box as the door swung open.
The Wllow Creek Twins, Raising Chicks. Chapter 7, Forgetting Something?
Just in time, kids.
Grandpa said to Luke and Katie.
There are 2 slices of apple pie left.
my favorite.
Exclaimed Luke. He and Katie joined the family around the kitchen table.
So you caught some worms,
Said Dad.
You should have seen me.
Bragged Katie. She grabbed an imaginary worm from the air.
Got it.
She shouted. Stop right there, said Mom. She was looking at Katie's hand, her very dirty hand.
Yuck.
Said Joy.
Uh-oh.
Said Katie. She looked at Luke. Luke looked at his own hands.
Gross.
He said.
Come on.
Grumbled Katie, standing up.
Let's go wash up and put these dirty rags in the hamper.
Katie and Luke climbed back up the stairs.
Don't eat our pie.
Katie called down the steps.
Mealtime is no time for worm slime.
Luke said with a chuckle.
Hey, you just made him rhyme about slime.
Said Katie, giggling.
So did you.
Exclaimed Luke. Katie led the way down the hall past the spare room.
Listen to those chicks.
Said Luke.
They are loud.
They sure are.
Complained Katie. Then she stopped, worried.
Wait a minute. Is that door open?
She looked back toward the spare room.
It should be closed.
Katie and Luke hurried into the spare room. Katie switched on the light.
Jellybean!
She cried. The cat's head was in the box. Everything happened so fast. Jellybean leaped up and landed on the desk. Luke tried to grab Jellybean, but the cat leaped to the floor. Then Jellybean ran out the door and down the hall. A white ball of fluff was in her mouth.
Come back here!
Screamed Katie.
Mom! Dad! Help!
Katie and Luke chased Jellybean into Mom and Dad's bedroom.
Where is she?
Cried Katie. She dropped to the floor and looked under the bed. Katie could see Jellybean's yellow eyes shining in the dark. A white chick was in the cat's mouth. The frightened chick cheeped loudly. Katie pulled her head out from under the bed. The whole family was looking down at her with wide eyes.
Jellybean has a chick.
She said grimly. Joy gasped.
Uh-oh,
Said Dad.
Not good.
Added Grandpa.
Don't worry.
Said Katie.
I think I can get it back.
Then she wiggled under the bed, trying not to panic.
Hello, Jellybean.
She said softly, facing the cat.
What have you got?
Looking like a proud hunter, Jellybean held on to the chick.
Come on, Jellybean.
Katie whispered.
Let me have the baby chick.
Katie slowly reached out, She gently cupped her hands underneath the chick. Jellybean opened her mouth, and the chick fell into Katie's hands.
Thank you, Jellybean,
whispered Katie. Then she wiggled out from under the bed.
Got it!
Katie said as she stood up.
Thank you, Katie,
exclaimed Joy. Let's check on the others, said Mom. Everyone rushed to the box.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
counted Katie. She put the white chick back with the others.
6,
she said. Luke was standing in the doorway. He looked unhappy.
This was my fault,
he said.
I left the door open.
No,
replied Katie.
it was my fault.
She looked at Joy.
I forgot to make sure the door was closed. I'm sorry, Joy.
Joy gave Katie a hug.
We still have 6 chicks,
she said.
so everything is okay.
Katie nodded.
That was close.
She murmured.
Well,
Grandpa spoke up.
I still have 2 slices of pie downstairs. Anybody interested?
Absolutely.
Said Katie.
Let's go.
Exclaimed Luke. Wait a minute, warned Mom. Forgetting something? Katie and Luke looked at each other. They both held up their hands.
Worm slime.
They cried.
The Wllow Creek Twins, Raising Chicks. Chapter 8, The Chicks Go to School.
The 3rd graders had just put away their math books. Suddenly, they heard a buzz from the speaker on the wall. The voice of the principal, Ms. Olson, rang through the classroom.
Joy Donovan, please come to the office.
Grandpa is here with the chicks.
Cried Joy.
Hooray!
Cheered Katie.
May I go to the office, Mr. Higgins?
Asked Joy as she jumped up from her desk.
Yes, you may.
Said the teacher. Joy stopped at Katie's desk.
Go ahead and draw the chicken.
She whispered loudly. Mr. Higgins nodded to Katie, and she walked to the whiteboard. She took a marker and drew a big chicken. Just as Katie finished the tail, Joy marched back into the room. Grandpa walked behind her with a large cardboard box.
Let's all say hello to Mr. Donovan,
instructed Mr. Higgins. The 3rd graders clapped and called,
Hello, Mr. Donovan.
Hello, kids.
Grandpa said, smiling. He carried the box to a table in the front of the room. Then he sat down on a small chair.
I've already seen the chicks.
Luke whispered to the boy next to him.
They're cheeping!
Cried Laura Lehman. Joy walked to the front of the class and stood beside Katie.
We're going to look at the chicks in the box. But first, Katie will tell you about her drawing.
In 5 or 6 months, these little chicks will look like this. This is a grown-up hen. That's what you call a female chicken.
Katie explained to the class.
Here is the hen's beak.
She pointed to the whiteboard.
This wavy thing on top is called a comb.
She tapped her finger on the comb.
And this floppy part under the beak is called a wattle.
Cool,
said Luke.
Where are the feet?
The whole class laughed. Katie had run out of space on the board and hadn't drawn the feet.
You're silly, Luke,
replied Katie.
Thank you, Katie,
said Mr. Higgins.
That was very helpful.
Now it was Joy's turn.
Our chicks aren't grown up yet,
she said.
They're about 2 weeks old.
She lifted the lid off the box. All the 3rd graders jumped out of their seats and gathered around the box.
Hey!
Exclaimed Luke.
Their hair looks funny. It's sticking out.
The chicks were cheeping and hopping around inside the box. Joy lifted a chick from the box.
They're getting real feathers on their tails and wings.
This one has little horns.
Exclaimed one of her classmates.
That is where its comb is starting to grow.
Explained Joy.
Why do some have white legs and some have yellow legs?
Asked Luke.
They're just different.
Said Joy.
Are the two white ones twins?
Asked Laura.
They look alike.
They look alike, but they're not the same.
Said Katie. She picked up one of the white chicks and put it in Laura's hand.
This one is nice and calm, but the other one...
The other white chick chirped and ran around in circles. Everyone looked closely into the box as the chick tripped over the feeder. It knocked into some of the other chicks.
What's it doing?
Asked Luke. Suddenly, the squawking chick jumped and flapped its little wings.
It's trying to fly!
Cried Laura. All the children laughed.
See?
Said Joy.
The chicks look alike, but they're really different.
Just like us.
Katie couldn't help saying.
Hooray for Katie and Joy's chicks!
Laura said. All the third graders clapped and cheered. Katie and Joy looked at each other and smiled. Then they cheered too.